Antichrist, whatever he is.
Hey? I think you're the one using the religious imagery, but if you want to talk about family values, how do you feel about Donald Trump saying that he'd probably date his own daughter if he wasn't her father?
That is tongue-in-cheek remarks. That means nothing. I don't care what he did.
But rappers preach the gospel from the stage. When Donald Trump says that he'd date his own daughter if they weren't related, that's tongue-in-cheek.
I love to sit down and watch Trump's bootlicking supporters get dismantled on live telly, and we've got a cracking one here from a few months ago. Before I get started, I want to thank you for tuning in. It's people like you who make what I do possible. Now look, James O'Brien. If you don't know the name, you're about to learn it real quick. This man has built an entire career on one simple technique: asking for evidence. That's it, and somehow that's enough to completely unravel these people every single time. What does that tell you about the state of political discourse right now? We're about to watch what happens when emotional allegiance meets someone who actually demands proof. And I have a feeling this caller walked into a masterclass on accountability without realizing it. If you love watching me unravel disasters like this, please click that subscribe button. And while you're at it, if you'd like to get a shout out in my next video, then like the video, share it with a friend, and tell me your name and where you're watching from. Let's watch the video and I will give my 2 cents at the end.
You talk about rights. Your very opening gambit this morning was he's going to go after abortion rights now, without actually acknowledging the obscenity of aborting your baby. What about the rights of the baby?
So you agree with me?
No, I do not.
Well, he is going to change that legislation.
If he stops it...
Well, you cross about it. You're agreeing with me. I said he was, and you want him to.
Yes, but you said it in a manner that as if you objected to it. No, also...
Well, that's because I think women should decide what happens to their bodies, not you.
But it's not their bodies, it's someone else's body.
All right, okay. Well, let's disagree on that then. You carry on with other reasons to be cheerful.
You talked about inner rage. Yes, I am filled with rage.
I know.
But I am not filled with rage for the reasons you think. For the past 8 years, I have been filled with rage because of this demonic, despotic, satanic dynasty that is the Obamas and the Clintons, who have utterly destroyed the American family. The proper conservative...
I have to warn you, Donny, just in the interest of openness, a lot of people now will be, in fact, I could probably read you a couple, they'll be claiming that we deliberately filter our calls to put on people who sound a bit mad, and we deliberately don't let anyone on who can make a cogent argument, and it's all very carefully filtered. I just want to clarify, A, that is not the case here, and B, I'm quite insulted on your behalf.
I don't care. Well, actually, this is the first time I've ever called you, and I waited about an hour, but I don't mind. Yeah.
Demonic, despotic dynasty, the Obamas and the Clintons.
The corrupt Clintons, Hillary Clinton has never produced a thing in her life. A family who have made billions from Saudi money, money from the media, whereas Trump at least has earned his money, at least he produces something. Everything that can come from Trump can only be good. The Clintons, the Obamas have obliterated the American ethic entirely.
How did they do that? How did they do that? And also, while you're at it, why are Obama's approval ratings 57% at the moment?
I don't care. That's young people.
Okay.
Do you know something, James?
A few things. Not as much as you, though, Donny.
James, listen, I wouldn't give young people the vote. They're too stupid to vote. That's it. You don't have any wisdom about you until you're in your 30s, almost 40, for this generation. Young people should not be given the vote. You know, I'll tell you what to do.
Yes.
Go and look at some footage of a rapper called JC and Beyonce just recently. They spewed the most hateful filth I have ever heard on stage. And guess what? Hillary Clinton came on amid great cheers. This is the woman that you would have as president. A woman who embraces rap stars who are the very antithesis of everything that is right in the family. And you would rather she was president. And you dare to call Donald Trump the Antichrist, whatever he is.
Hey? I think you're the one using the religious imagery, but if you want to talk about family values, how do you feel about Donald Trump saying that he'd probably date his own daughter if he wasn't her father?
That is tongue-in-cheek remarks. That means nothing. I don't care what he did.
But rappers preach the gospel from the stage. When Donald Trump says that he'd date his own daughter if they weren't related, that's tongue-in-cheek.
Rappers didn't say that. Rappers... I'll tell you what, go and watch the video.
I've really enjoyed listening to you, and I think you should probably go and have a little lie down now.
Yeah, well, we'll go and have a lie down, and I'll rest the sleep. I'll rest the sleep of the innocent.
Yes, you have the sleep of the innocent. Are you being tongue-in-cheek now, or is that
No,
a real person?
Someone proper is in power now. Someone good, someone right is in power now. The nightmare has ended.
There you go. That's better, isn't it? It's not till January. You do not... Oh, no, I shouldn't tell him that, should I? You know it's not until January. The despotic, demonic dynasty is still there until January.
Yes, and I will enjoy this honeymoon period while it lasts.
Good. God bless, Donny.
God bless.
11 minutes after 11, Irony just died.
Right, so I need a moment here because that was a lot. Okay, let me gather myself, because what we just witnessed was not simply a phone call. That was a full psychological unraveling in real time. And James O'Brien didn't even have to raise his voice. He just asked questions. Basic questions. How did they do that? Why are approval ratings this high? And every single time, nothing. Just more emotional word salad dressed up as conviction. The demonic, despotic, satanic dynasty. Those were his actual words. About the Obamas and Clintons. And when pressed for evidence of what exactly they destroyed, crickets. Just vibes and rage and some bizarre tangent about rappers at a concert. But here's what really got me. This man called in ready to fight. He waited an hour to get on the line. An hour. And the best he could come up with was that young people shouldn't vote because they're too stupid, and that Hillary Clinton stood on stage with Beyoncé. That's the argument. That's the smoking gun against the so-called dynasty. And meanwhile, when O'Brien brings up Trump saying he'd probably date his own daughter if they weren't related, oh, that's just tongue-in-cheek. That's nothing. Don't worry about it. The selective outrage is staggering. It's not even hidden anymore. Rappers saying things you don't like at a concert. Civilization is crumbling. The actual candidate making deeply uncomfortable comments about his own child. Just banter. Family values though, right? That's what we're defending here, apparently. This is what O'Brien does better than almost anyone in broadcasting. He doesn't lecture. He doesn't grandstand. He just holds up a mirror and lets people talk themselves into corners they can't escape from. That technique of simply asking for evidence, it exposes the entire framework, because there is no framework. There's just feeling. Pure emotion wearing the costume of political ideology. And look, I get it. People are angry. People feel like the system doesn't work for them. That's valid. But channeling that anger into defending a man who, according to public record, has been sued thousands of times, who reportedly paid hush money, who was found liable in civil court for sexual abuse, that's not rebellion. That's not sticking it to the establishment. That's trading one set of elites for another and calling it freedom. The caller said Trump earned his money. He produces things. And O'Brien just let that sit there. Because what do you even say? The man inherited his wealth. His business ventures are reportedly riddled with bankruptcies and lawsuits. But sure, self-made. Totally. What kills me is that O'Brien pointed out his own audience would accuse him of filtering calls to make supporters look bad. And then the caller immediately proved it wasn't necessary. The arguments defeat themselves. You don't need to manipulate anything when the logic collapses under the weight of a single follow-up question. The sleep of the innocent. That's what the caller said he'd have. While defending someone who, according to his own public statements, brags about grabbing women, while dismissing documented controversies as tongue-in-cheek, while calling the other side demonic. This is the conversation we're having in 2026. Still, after everything. The same circular, emotional reasoning that O'Brien has been dissecting for years now. And somehow asking for proof makes you the unreasonable one. Here's what I want you to take from this. Next time someone makes a sweeping claim about politicians or policies or conspiracies, just ask how. Ask for evidence. Watch what happens. Because if the answer is anger and deflection and pivots to completely unrelated grievances, that tells you everything you need to know about the foundation of that belief. Evidence matters. Accountability matters. And people like O'Brien remind us that sometimes the most radical thing you can do is simply refuse to accept claims without substance. Speaking of watching people crumble under basic questioning, there's another clip I came across recently where Lewis Goodall pressed a Trump ally on policy specifics and she absolutely fell apart. Same energy. Same exposure of how thin the arguments really are. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to see how that played out. Subscribe to the channel and let me know your name and where you're watching from so I can give you a shout out in the next video. And if you'd like to support the work we do, please click the join button below to become a channel member.